Hello friends, once again welcome back in the beauty world of pharmacy. In the last lecture we have studied about the receptors and their classification. Receptors are mainly of two types, cell surface receptors and intracellular receptors. Cell surface receptors that are present on the surface of the cell, that is cell membrane, are called as cell surface receptors, and second one is intracellular. The receptors that are present within the cell are called as intracellular receptors. Then let's begin the cell surface receptors. First type is a ligand-gated ion channel. Here see in the diagram, as stated, ligand-gated ion channels are the cell surface receptors. This is a cell membrane and this is a ligand-gated ion channel receptors. This is a receptor binding site where receptors are in the form of neurotransmitter, drug or a ligand get binding on this site and shows its response. When the receptors ligand or a neurotransmitter binds on these receptors binding site, then ion channel get opens and the influx of the ions takes place. Ionotropic receptors. These are the receptors which has inhibitory or excitatory action. That means ionotropic receptors shows inhibitory or the excitatory action present on the neurotransmitters and have a fast synaptic transmission, and the speed of synaptic transmission is very fast. They are examples of GABA A receptors and the glutamate receptors of NMDA, etc. These have the switch between the open and closed state. The direction of the opening and closing is depend upon the electrochemical gradients of the ions. The quantity of ion present within the cell or outside the cell that depends the opening and closing of the ion channel. The structure of ion channel are pentameric. That means it contains 2 alpha subunit, 1 beta unit, 1 gamma unit and 1 delta unit. All subunit forms a pore, central pore. As said, this is ion channel, ligand-gated ion channel made up of pentameric structure. 2 alpha subunits, 1 beta, 1 gamma and 1 delta subunit, which is embedded within the cell membrane. Whenever the ligand binds on the binding site present on a receptor, then it get activated and ion channel get open and the influx of the ions takes place. Mechanism of ion channel. Signal molecule binds as a ligand on a binding site. Signal molecule in the form of ligand, neurotransmitter or drug get binds on the binding site present on the cell membrane. Conformational changes that allows the receptor to open and ions flow from the cell. Whenever the ligand binds to the receptor and receptor get activated and opens it gate for the influx of ions. Change in the ion concentration in cell to cause cellular response. Take a here example. Whenever ligand binds to this receptor get activated and opens the channel for here receptor here neurotransmitter or the ligand or any drug binds to receptor site present on this receptor and open channels get open, ion channel get opens and the influx of Na plus ion influx of Na plus ion takes place, and inside the cell the concentration of sodium ion increases, which causes the polarization that results in the action potential development. Whenever the action potential development, the transmission of impulses from one neuron to the next neuron takes place. Example, response caused by the increase or decrease level of the ions. Here listen, whenever the ions concentration increases or the decreases, the response takes place. Increased sodium or calcium levels causes the excitatory response. Decrease in the sodium and calcium ion causes the inhibitory response. Increase potassium ion causes inhibitory response, increase in the chloride ion causes inhibitory response. That means negative ions causes the inhibitory response while the positive ions causes the excitatory response. What are the importance of the ion channel? Why ion channel are important? First one is synaptic transmission of neuron. For the transmission of nerve impulse from one neuron to the another neuron, ion channel are important to develop the action potential. Whenever the ion influx or the outflux takes place, the action potential develops and the transmission of neuron takes place. So I have mentioned the synaptic transmission of the neuron. Second one is a muscle contraction. As we study in the 12th standard sliding filament theory, muscle contraction are important, that is caused due to the opening or closing of the ion channels that causes the action potential. Third one is a salt balance. Fourth one is a hormone release. Fifth one is while the muscle relaxant, anti-arrhythmic drugs and anesthetic act by the blocking the ion channels. Muscle relaxant, anti-arrhythmic drugs and the anesthetic, these are agents that blocks the ion channel and shows it response. Here we finished the ligand-gated ion channel. Hope you understand all these information. In the next lecture we will study about the second type of receptor, that is a G protein coupled receptors, which is a cell surface receptor. Thank you.